So as we finish our race through Lent with vigor, we meditate on these very important words of Jesus. He who commits sin is a slave to sin. Now, similar today, where we do not have and we do not want a sense of sin, we want to believe that everything is generally okay, that our life is generally good, that things are generally going to turn out well. That's what we want. But like the Jews here who say, we're fathers of Abraham, or we're sons of Abraham, we've never been slaves. The Jews have always been slaves. They've been slaves to every nation that's ever existed in that region. The Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Chaldeans, even the Philippians, not the Philippians, the Philistines, thank you, and the Medes, Gideon with the Medes. These people are delusional. Jesus says, if you believe in me, you will be set free. And they answered, we're descendants of Abraham. We've never been enslaved to anyone. Y'all are dumb. Right? Like in the strict sense of the word, dumb. And we are too. Because we reject what Jesus is saying to us day in and day out in the Gospels. And that is to have a true sense of sin. Just as there is no mercy without justice, there is no justice, in a sense, without sin. Paul goes into this in detail, in very complicated detail in his letters when he's talking about the law, particularly in Romans. But if we don't understand that things are not generally okay, if we don't understand that our life is generally directed in a destructive way, we will not accept the words of Jesus because we won't really need them, or we won't think we need them. We won't have the motivation of good, positive, God-fearing anxiety to say, I need to examine my life. I need to be truthful about where my life is weak and pathetic, and I need to strengthen it. And not having done that, we will not have a reason to be thankful to God. And that's really what it comes down to. If God has done nothing for me because I didn't really need him to do anything for me anyways, I don't have any reason to be grateful. And the only thing God actually wants from us is gratitude. Failing to give him that, we could give him everything else and it would be insufficient. Right? And this is why the Jews are trying to kill him, even though they say they want the truth. But they want to kill Jesus because Jesus says, you need me. You have to have me. And they say, no, we're sons of Abraham. No, we're sons of the one Father, God. We don't need you. Get out of here. And if you keep saying we need you and we don't just need God or we don't just need Abraham, we're going to kill you. We follow the law of Moses. We don't need your law. We follow the paternity of, or the paternity of Abraham. We don't need your freedom. We're already sons of Abraham. Abraham was a slave. He had his own household, but he was a slave, and Jesus explains how he was a slave to sin. Right? They go on to say we weren't born of fornication. Of course, they were talking about Abraham's hussy's son there. What's his name? Ishmael. Yeah, the Muslim patriarch. Hagar's son Ishmael. Of course, they're saying that those guys are bastards, but they're not. So we don't need you. Basically, they say, Lord, everything's fine. Why are you talking about this new stuff? Why are you talking with urgency? Why are you talking all this pessimistic stuff? Why are you talking about having to die? Why are you talking about we have to die? Let us alone. We're fine as we are. Right? And even people sitting in the church right now who are faithful to daily Mass are not immune to this. For so many, in addition to true piety, religion is something that is socially acceptable to do. It's a proper thing to do, and so we do it. Right? It's kind of the in thing, right? Especially down here in the South. When the first thing you do when you bring over your Jell-O mold to a new neighbor is, hey, what church you go to? Right? You don't even ask their name first. You're like, hey, what church you go to? Oh, we go down to First Baptist. Yeah, well, we go to St. Clair. We have to recognize that, and this is what Lent does for us. Lent attempts to purify and clarify our vision. That things are really crap, but because of Jesus, we are okay, right? Without Jesus, we would not be. We would be like the rest of the world. But with Jesus, we're okay. And this goes right back to the courage and the fidelity of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The furnace is on fire. The king is enraged. The servants are trying to kill them. They're bound and enslaved in the flesh and thrown into the furnace, and they're walking around singing songs with the angels. Possibly even a phantom of the second person of the Trinity there, right? Possibly. God himself present to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Right? Because they said, we will not serve the slave masters. We will allow ourselves to be bound and killed and maintain our freedom. This is the narrow way. This is what Christianity is about. Allowing ourselves to be looked down upon, abused, misunderstood, imprisoned, and even killed to do what is right. Unless you worship the golden statue, let's see here. Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you will not serve my God or worship the golden statue I set up? Is it not true, you all, that you won't support gay marriage? Is it true that you won't go to your sister's farce of a marriage to another woman? Is it not true that you won't go to your son or daughter's false marriage because they're marrying outside of the church? Is it not true that you won't support the worship of the god of death and exalt the wholesale murder of children in the womb? Is it not true that you won't do these things? Shame on you. Now let me tell you, when the invitation comes to go to your son or your daughter, when the invitation comes to go to your niece or nephew, when the invitation comes to go to your grandchildren's wedding that isn't really a wedding, you must go or you'll be bound and thrown into the furnace. What do? You see, the world's a mess, and it wants us to share in the mess with it. But if we want to be free, we stand aloof from the mess. We let people call us mean names. We let people misunderstand us. We let people abuse us. We even, throughout the centuries, have allowed people to kill us rather than betray the name. The only name, the one name, the singular name by which everything in heaven, on earth, and under the earth is preserved. We are faithful to one God. We follow his law. We claim one title, to be sons and daughters of the one God. And in so doing, we free ourselves, or rather I should say we find ourselves freed to live as friends of that God. And like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, in the midst of a fallen world, in the midst of a world on fire, we dance around with God, singing songs as free men and women.